Hello everyone, welcome back to Skillify. Today we'll be looking at the formula tab. So usually the most what I say, the serious problem or the thing is like usually people get stuck when it comes to implementing the formula. And even though implementing formula is okay, but when they have to navigate it or they have to just find out how these things are applied and how they are getting outputs and all, so it's kind of bit complicated for them. So let's explore that today, and I'm sure after this session you'll be able to find out your queries. Now let's move to the formula tab. The very first thing is usually according to our requirement, right? Requirement based, we are not using like more than 50 formulas. Even like during your entire career, we are not be using more than 50 formulas. But there could be some scenarios when you'll have to manage those type of files and all in Excel. Then you have to implement the formula. So you should be aware of what are the criterias out there, what are the functions which are available, what are the uh, areas which are covered. So when I open the formula tab, the very first thing is to insert a function. Insert a function means usually when we have to put a function in Excel, so for that you have to start it with is equal to. When you start typing is equal to, this area get activated. So you'll see if I just remove this is equal to, and if I'm clicking someone else, I'm not typing anything. Let's say I'm typing any random thing. So when you type something in a cell and that is equal to, so basically this formula tab is actually now will just get to know that okay, this person are implementing some formula. Now, let's say you don't have any idea about, but you know that you have to implement some text function, or you are dealing with a financial sheet, or is there any logical function to check that out? You can just come to the formula tab, and you have a complete library over there. The group name is the function library. Now, the very first thing is, let's say I have the marks over here, and then I will say obtain one. Okay, so for that, what I have to do, I have some, let's say, total marks will be 500. So I'm taking this value as, let's say, for 5 sheets, and then obtain marks are some random marks. So it cannot exceed 500. So let me just do it. Hmm. Now, if I have to calculate percentage, so what I'll do, we know that how we can just calculate the percentage. So for percentage, I need to, I have, first of all, it will be a formula. So starting with is equal to, then obtain marks will be divided by the total marks and just hit enter. Okay, so now it is coming as 0.69. We can just convert or we can just format it to the percentage sign. If I drop it down, so these are the values I have. But what I did, this was something which was a customized formula, right? If I have to do the same with, let's say, is equal to, let I'm performing is equal to sum, right? So we know that when we just type out a formula, hit the tab key, we'll have a navigation bar over here. It will just help us to put the parameters and all. But let's say is there any other way I can just see how exactly my formula is getting implemented? So that part is your insert function. So if you want to insert a function in a particular cell, just click on that cell and just go to the insert function. So to move to the formula tab, you have to click on insert function. The same thing you can have as, first of all, the shortcut is by pressing the shift key plus F3, right? Shift plus F3 key. And then the second way to do it, click on the cell and just click on this FX. So you'll have this pop up. Let me just cross it. And then I am just clicking on this. I'm having the same pop up. And the third way I'm doing is shift plus F3 key. So is it like in my device? It depends basically. Actually, either it is a Mac or something. So you need to check with that. Okay. So yeah. Now, so I'm getting that. Let's try it again. Insert a function. So it will show you. It first of all, it will help you. You need a prompt. If you don't know which exact function to use, you can just give it a prompt, like I just want to use, I have to do this work and which function I can use. So it will just show you. Then below that you have the category. So if you click on drop down, it will show you, are you working on something like that type of formula needed which belong to the financial one or to the date or time. Is it something from method trigonometry? So again, you can just click on any of them on which area you are working on. Now after that, it has some selected function for you. If these are some standard functions, so you can just see, if you just drop down and all, you can just see that sum is there, average is there, if and hyperlink and all. Let's say I'm inserting the sum. If I click on sum and I will go okay, now there will be a next pop-up window. Now what is the use case of this? Let's say I'm doing the sum over here. So the first value I want 23, that get inserted over here, and the second value I want as 34. Okay, now it is showing you, it is validating you. Okay, the first value you have selected is 23, the second value you have selected is 34. Now one more way to do it, simple. Let's come back to this. The cell is selected. Okay, what I'm doing is, if I am selecting the values somewhere else, okay, for example, I have this value 34 is I have selected, and then in the third cell or in the third number, what I'll do, I just want to select, let's say, 500. So you'll see that you have selected a cell that is F5, but the value in that cell is 500. If I move my cursor to the fourth number, and then in the fourth number I want to select, let's say I want to add 345. So it will show you that you have selected G7 cell and the value in G7 cell is 345. So this is, I would say, the elaborated way to see out, are you taking up the right values, is your arguments or the parameters are correct, are the values correct or not. And after that, all you need just to click on okay, and it will show you the output. So this is the way actually how a insert function works. So if you want to see how exactly a function is getting implemented, just go to this insert function, and it will help you first to choose the formula and then to explain it better. Now, if I move to the second area, that is the function library. Now, in the function library, you have different sections. Different sections means, first one will be your auto sums. If you click on it, it will show you some standard formulas to doing sum, to doing average, to doing count, max, min, and some other functions. Second, you have the recently used functions. So if I click on drop down, so the very recent function I have used is the sum one, right? I usually use the average if is there, hyperlink we used in some of our recent activities. So these are your recently used function. And if you go to the auto sum, it will show you more functions. As I told you, whenever you see a drop down, always try to explore that. The reason is simple, you'll get to know more about that, right? Now, after these recently used, you'll have some specific categories, the functions which belong to the financial area. So basically financial aspect, if you are dealing with a financial worksheet, so click on drop down and it will show you the all the relatable formulas which you can use it. Okay, so if you are not dealing a financial sheet, so these formulas are will be kind of tough for you to understand, and there is no need to understand that, right? So but you need to understand that these functions are available there. The second will be your logical functions. So some basics are your end function, if is there, if error is there, not function is there, or function, true, XOR, switch. So these are your logical function. Then we have specific text function. Usually we use when we do the data analysis part. Either you have to trim the free spaces, right? You have to substitute a value, if you have to clean, or you have to concat some function and all. So text function. Then we have the date and time. You want date on your page, you want to know that what is the day right now, e-date function, e-month, hours and all. So some functions are very common. Then we have the lookup f reference. So a lot of type of lookup, like we have x lookup is there, VLOOKUP will be there, simple lookup is there, index function is there. Okay, and then method trigonometry, and then more function. If you click on more function, it will show you, so there are statistical functions, engineering functions, cube, information compatibility, and if you want to check out like some other functions available on web, that you can do, right? Now after that, this area is all about to giving a name to your cells or to the headers, basically, in order to use the functions. So see, when if you haven't inserted a table, let me just insert a table on this area. So I'm going with the shortcut control T, and I will click on OK. Now let's say I want to do the sum. I will perform is equal to sum, hit tab key. Now when I will selecting this one, or let's say what I do, control Z, and I am selecting the range. Now see, it get converted into table 2 percentage. So this is something which is the name of this complete column. This is the name of this range. And that thing, and if I do the same thing, let me just do control Z one or two times, right? So if I want, I have this table, and then I am doing the same thing, and I don't have any table right now. So this thing is simple, basically associated with the table which you have inserted. So I've inserted a table, then I'm getting a different name while I'm performing sections, I'm performing any function and all. So that thing work from this area. So if you want to define the name of an area, like this is the name, then you want to put a comment and all you need to hit on OK, and then that will be reflected over here. So because right now I'm not providing it a name, that's why it's good. Okay. Now this area is very important because let's say I have calculated the percentage in this section, but I don't know exactly how I have calculated. I will double click on it. I know that this is the way how it works. But this is the very common scenario because we only have three different columns here. Let's say you are someone who is working with 20 columns in a row, and that is the reality of corporate. Or if you are working on a project, so you will have multiple columns, you'll have multiple rows, right? So in that scenario, let's say in the fourth or fifth column, you have some values, and you have calculated something by the help of these two columns in the, let's say, 19th or 20th column. So in that scenario, I just want to check out how exactly I'm getting the value in 19th column. So that is basically I want to do the formula auditing. I want to check out how I'm getting the value, what are the precedents, what are the dependents, these all. So now let's move to this formula auditing section. So very first thing is trace precedent. So precedence is something which will tell you that this cell is involved in order to get some output. Is it by the help of this cell we are just getting some output? It is involved in some calculation. So how you can do that? Click on any cell on which you want to just check out, like if is it involved in something, is there any formula or something, is it helping um, a formula to get executed. So I have selected this cell and I will just come to this formula tab. After that, in the formula auditing section, very first option as trace precedent. I will click on it and it will say the trace precedent command required that the active cell contain a formula. Okay. So this is not working on this one, right? So I, because there is no formula, it shows you. Now I know right now that I have put it a formula in the percentage one. So I will click on it. I will just go with trace precedent. Now see what happened exactly. Okay, what happened exactly? I got two arrows over here, and it is showing me that this value has two precedents. Means this 500, basically this particular cell and this cell is helping to get this output. This is the basically how precedents are calculated. So in the other way around, we can say that what are the cells which are will get used to get this particular value. So this scenario again, we have just very small data. It's easy to understand that. But if the data is huge, you have a big table. In that scenario, these arrows are very helpful to get like from exactly which sections I am getting these values. Okay. Now, second thing is first of all to remove these arrows. You have the option as a remove arrow. Just click on it. Then that will get removed. Now, second thing is trace dependent. That is the same thing. If I click any on the cell, any of cell, and it will tell me is the cell is getting used anywhere. It gets used in any formula. Am I using it to calculate something or not? So let's say just calculate this. Click on 500 and click on trace precedent, and it will show you yes, this value is involved to calculate this value. Okay. If I click on the some other value and I go to the trace precedent, it will show you yes, this value is involved in order to calculate this particular value. So this value, this particular value is the dependent on this value. This is the way you can just check out. Again, to remove the arrows, So you can just go, let's say I have applied a lot of arrows. So now color is same, blue color, and I have applied a lot of arrows. Now I just one at a time. I have in one go I have applied for precedent, I have applied for dependent also. Now, but I want to just see for the dependent. So what I'll do is remove arrow instead of just clicking on it randomly. Click on drop down and you'll have the option as do you want to remove the arrow for precedent only or for the dependent only. So now I just want to look for the arrow for precedent only. So I will remove the dependent one. So that will remain over here and that's all. And now if I want to remove everything, so I will just click on remove arrow. Okay. Now, if you have a sheet and you have applied a lot of formulas on that and then you are confused a lot what formula is working where, so you can just click on this command that is show formula. If you click on it and on the entire sheet formula will be visible to you. See, we have applied formula in the percentage section and the second formula we applied in the sum. So all the formulas in each and every cell which we have applied is visible right now. Okay. So this is the way, and now to just remove it, so you have to click on formula, show formula again, so that will get back to the original. Now, if I want to check out, like, is there any error in my formula or something, so I will click on error checking. So it is saying that error check is complete for the entire sheet. There is no error in your formula. That thing actually work when you have applied some formula, even though you are getting some output, but you are not sure about it, is the formula is correct or not. Okay. Now the next section is evaluate formula. You click on it. You will see like the formula in this cell and you want to evaluate. Let's say just click on this one and just go to the evaluate formula and it is showing you that in this particular cell you have applied this particular formula over here. Again, this is the actually explanation of the formula which you have applied and then I will say just evaluate it and it is showing you the value as 902. I will say restart or I can just click on close. This is the way I can evaluate it. Now, if I move to the next section, that is watch window. So you will click on watch window. It will help you to watch out some specific value. So let's say I want to add which window I want to watch. So I will click on add. So what I can do is if I want to move to this particular cell, let's say you are working in a sheet and you have some specific areas which where you have to look again and again. So instead of scrolling here and there, what you can do is you can just add that particular value or that particular cell or column or row into the watch window so that you can just open the watch window and when you click on it, so that thing will, let's say I have clicked over here and I will just click on it. So it will get back me to this one and I can see the address in my name box. So I can just navigate to this. If you want to remove some watch which you have put it, you can just go with delete watch and that's all. This is the way you can work. These options are for calculating. So now that's all for the formula tab. If you have any query and you want us to explain something else in depth, so you can just let us know in the comments and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.